Oh, this motherfucker here. New senator last night just said when she takes office, they're going to impeach the motherfucker. Well, look at that. My hair just tried to part itself. Oh, that's fascinating. Anyway, that's far too organized for me. Let me fix that. There we go. There we go. Anyways, so today is really the first official day of business with the new Congress, with the new Democratic majority in the House of Representatives. And Trumpy Poo thought today would be a good idea to say, I'm going to shut down the government for up to a year if necessary. He really just said that? Seriously? Now, last night, I heard some more bush around beating. Some more beating around the bush when it came to when are they going to impeach this motherfucker? Then one of the new Congress ladies, Congresswoman, who who just got sworn in yesterday, was at a little event at a bar or something like that. And she outright said, we're going to go in there and we're going to impeach the motherfucker. But Swalwell and a lot of people keep making this comment. Democracy would be best served or preserved or upheld, whatever, if Trump is allowed to run again and defeated in another You mean given a chance for election? No, thanks. He's not supposed to be there now. You fucking morons. Preserve democracy by saying you can get away with destroying our fucking government, destroying our alliances, destroying our country, as long as you actually steal the election. As long as you got enough fucking shills in place in the electoral college to back you up while you work for a foreign power, you get to be president for 4 fucking years and nobody can do anything about it? No. We're not having that message sent. You better impeach the motherfucker, or there's going to be some bullets that'll fucking impeach him for you. And I guarantee you, there's a whole bunch of people planning that shit out. And they ain't going to fucking get caught. So there you go. You can have a fucking homegrown assassination. You can have total fucking anarchy. You can have a future of disastrous precedents set. Or you can impeach this motherfucker. Period. The asshole should be in. If he was any other motherfucker, if he was anybody else, he'd be sitting in a fucking jail cell right now. And we're letting this asshole talk about gonna leave the government shut down for up to a year, months if necessary, up to a year. Talking about people who aren't getting their fucking paychecks, who didn't get paychecks before fucking Christmas. They understand that this is about the greater good, and they'd rather have a wall on the Mexican border than their fucking paychecks. That's what this fucking psychopath said. Every day that goes by with that fucking thing in the White House doesn't make this country look a little stupider. Doesn't make this country look a lot stupider. It actually makes this country fucking stupider. As soon as Mr. Conway connects, I get disconnected. How about that? Oh, I'm going to sue the shit out of Google. I'm going to have lots of different people suing the shit out of Google all at once. It's going to be fucking beautiful. And they're still perfectly capable of saving themselves. All they got to do is allow me to make money like everybody else. All they got to do is allow me to have viewers like everybody else. That's all they got to do. And they can save their fucking children from lives of shame. But no. Google has helped maintain this status quo that's kept fucking Trump alive this far. Right? These fucking idiotic Google employees don't realize that they're just patsies. You're set up to take falls, dearies. You fucking people doing the dirty work. Oh, you're gonna get the shit into the stick. History tends to repeat itself, you know? And you better be ready for up to 600 people. Probably more. But I'm betting it's gonna be in the hundreds of people are gonna get arrested. When this all boils down, okay? And like I said, the only thing these fucking idiots at Google could possibly do to save their own asses is realize this channel's been a trap the whole time. Every bit of your behavior and every bit of my analysis has been recorded by the investigation. The one that started before Mueller. You can't just go around telling American citizens they're not allowed to speak because Russia told you to. I think the first charge that was filed against any of these fucking people should have gave them kind of a hint that what they were doing was illegal. That was acting as an unregistered foreign agent. Google. Dingo, stop licking your dick. He's licking his toes, but still. Licking his toes by his dick. Anyway. So right now, Pelosi and Schumer and all them just got out of this fucking meeting where the fucking Cheeto demon said he's gonna keep the government shut down for months up to a year if necessary to get his fucking wall money. But, you know, it's not okay for me to talk like a rational, actual patriot. They think it's okay. They think it's excusable to shadow ban me while they've allowed George Carlin and Louis C.K. and what's that other fucking redhead guy's name? These guys talk just heinous, insane bullshit that's meaningless and counterproductive. And I'm just, oh yeah, talking about the basic fucking principles that our founding fathers stood up for. In the same exact way that people who work for Russia talk about the shit all the time. In the same way the Trump campaign itself presented their so-called arguments. But they're gonna fucking shadow ban me. Not because of the content, not because of the profanity. Because I'm not following in line with their agenda. Their foreign fucking agenda. About the entire time, dumbasses, proving that you, Google, work for a foreign power. The FBI knew the whole time. It's over. Go ahead and see if paying me will save your asses if you want to. I don't even think it'll help at this point. You can try, though. It's the only chance you got. Oh, we found this one patriot. We promoted him. See, we can't be traitors. That's all you have to do. No, you can't fucking say that right now. There is no centrist fucking counterintelligence, counter all this crazy nonsense shilliverse bullshit. You've been promoting nothing but this consistent anti-American message for your entire existence, YouTube. And then when the one fucking person with any personality or wherewithal came around debunking it, you buried them. Me. You buried me. They treated me as if no person with original theories had ever gotten their start on YouTube. They treated me as if no stand-up comedian had ever gotten their start on YouTube. Google is nothing more than a fucking mass manipulation machinery. And they are contrary to America's interest in every way. If they were What they said, like if YouTube was what it said, it'd be no fucking problem. They would have launched an investigation themselves into the issues that I was having, and they would have been at the forefront of calling out the Russian fuckery before the election. But instead, they made consistent and concerted efforts to stifle investigations into this matter, while racketeering and suppressing civil rights. Good luck with that. I mean, they just got their balls hanging in the wind right now. Nobody's gonna catch us. We just keep doing what we're doing. Yep. Same way I could save Apple, I could save Google. I could keep them around for years to come. But instead, it's going to wind up being sort of a no thanks. All the companies that Google has fucked over the years, they're all going to band together with or without me. They've been meeting in secret with our government, with investigators, for years now, cataloging Google's anti-competitive practices. Yet the people at Google still just sit there, imagine a world where they can get away with anything. Because they've actually been delusional enough to drink their own Kool-Aid and think somehow they've managed to outpace Microsoft and IBM. I got cut off again. Yep, all the small time, few good channels that there were, don't even fucking bother anymore. Maybe God just made me go crazy just so I'd be so damn persistent. According to entry policy, what I'm doing here is supposed to make me successful. It's regular live streams. Being here for my customers. And you would think, just as a business model, okay, what they've done to me makes the opposite of sense, considering the type of long-term loyal viewers I could be getting. People that would be going on to YouTube every single day. You know, Alex Jones is a fad that fucking came and went. And frankly, not many people but Russians had been watching them for more than 4 years at a time. But at no point am I just going to disappear and people are going to think differently of me. At no point am I just going to wildly shift my political dynamic. You know, just go from being a far left retard to a far right retard. And these fucking people, think about the quality of their business model. Think about the addictiveness, the binge watchability, you know. of those stories and everything. And once you get just a little bit into the fucking crazy world that is my mind, you find that it's a hell of a lot more interesting play than some talking about their fucking turning the frogs gay. Okay? Now, granted, I don't come up with anything quite as comical as that. I give people ample opportunity to make fun of me. But I don't do anything that fucking stupid. I'm sorry. But I make up for it with, fun little stories about Con the Gigolo. Why is my anemone crawling up the glass? I'm out of salt. I can do no water changes. Fuck. It's like all the way up on the glass. It's touching the damn surface of the water now. I realized I had my salinity too low. I need to check it again. Maybe I let it get too high. Well, that's one thing. If everything else is looking all right and your corals or your anemones are just looking a little bit dingy, just starting to look a little bit blah. Not necessarily sick, just blah. Turning brown, maybe. Salinity's probably dropping. Excuse me. Anyways. So I'll probably clean off that pot in the back there and just move it back there. Maybe since I've got the current flowing a little better, it'll be happier back there where it was. It looks like it's struggling to get light where it was in the corner. Like now that it's feeling better, it's trying to get towards the light, All it is. Hopefully. Its tentacles are out and it's looking okay. It's still looking a little drab from the low salinity, but it's been improving. Anyways. Oh, it's Dudley DeBosier. I gotta show you these guys. Oh, come on, phone, come on. I want to show them. They're just so creepy looking. Aww, damn it. So there was this here in Baton Rouge this attorney called E. Eric Gayroyd. Gerard. Like Guyard. E. Eric Gayroyd. Like hemorrhoid, but Gayroyd. Okay. So, extra painful. I don't know. Anyway, so his law firm got in trouble. And it was like 225 E. Get the E guarantee, like stupid shit. But anyways, I forgot what specifically the law firm got in trouble. But they were banned from advertising anymore. They were apparently running some kind of little, scheming type shit. But I forget the details. But those two guys, Dudley DeBosier, wind up buying the law firm or the advertising rights or something. They wind up filling the same slots with the same little icon, but instead of an E, it's now a D, and it's Dudley DeBosier. And these two guys, they just got this like evil fucking creepy little grin to them. They look like fucking trolls, like They could be perfectly nice guys, but man, they just got a creepy fucking vibe to them, you know? I just wanted to show them. I wanted to share that with the world. It's, you know, one of them ones where they go and they interview the old black lady and say, they got me $200,000, you know, that kind of bullshit. And their old law firm had apparently overinflated the figures or some shit, but was doing something else on top of that. I forget what it was. Anyways. Ooh, look, fish tanks. So, the reason I say Google really needs to make an effort if they want to save their asses is because, very much like the Trump investigation, Google is not an entity that you can just kind of wrap your fucking prosecution case around all at once. You know, it's not like these motherfuckers stole a Snickers. It's pretty damn complicated. Just hiring the right people to prosecute Google. Could have taken months. But you bet your ass they're in there. I mean, like, to think that Google isn't being very, very thoroughly investigated right now, and has been since the Russians started invading Ukraine, it's kind of like saying that the whole investigation started because some Australian overheard Papadopoulos. Do you really think they even needed me to fucking email them? Because I emailed them a whole year and a half before Papadopoulos came around. And I wound up getting basically a yes. A thank you. Please do that. We're going to go to radio silence now. By all means, go and be our patsy so we can collect data and indict these fucking traitors who are helping the Russians right now. We already knew, the government, the United States government, already knew that Google was helping the Russians in 2014. What do you think they've been doing since then? Baking cookies? You don't only have to get the right team set up to take Google down, you got to get the right team set up to replace them. So there is a big secret defense funded thing going on right now. You can bet your little ass. And I just have a feeling that as of this point, it no longer matters. There's nothing you can fucking do about it. Your ass is grass. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell you. This is the way shit works. They have built sufficient machinery to replace you. Then and only then they will fucking replace you. And Google will be broken up the same way every monopoly of communications has ever been broken up. They do it to phone companies, they did it to cell phone companies, and they're going to do it to Google. Only they're going to be a whole lot more ruthless about it. Because let's face it, Google deserves it. And that little fucking person that comes on here, one and then two, from the same fucking account, from the same fucking IP address. Every single time he comes on here. That's the fucking criminal returning to the murder scene. Okay? Every time they know. They know why. And they probably know who the fuck you are. And the more you continue to obstruct the investigation, the more they're willing to just let you keep doing it. Because when it all comes down to it, if you got a problem getting enough evidence, you just keep a low profile and the fucking evidence will show up. Now, especially if they know because they're Freemasons or belong to some sort of esoteric orders, actually know who I am, no, they would have ever succumbed to my whining, succumbed to my doubts, and had mercy on me. They know that that goes contradictory to my greater desire and my would-be demands on them. Do not fuck up your investigation just because I'm having a hard time. That's what I signed the fuck up for, even if I forget about it sometimes. And knowing me, they'd fucking know that, believe me. This is the way it's supposed to go because this is the way it's gone every time. And frankly, that's what makes the most sense about the lack of contact with me. Let's just say, I never had random people do me favors. Whether it's local government or whatever. Just random little favors here and there. Until I woke up. And I have I sure don't want to out people, but I just have to like kind of describe the plethora of evidence that there is some sort of secret society that knows who the hell I am that's been ordered not to contact me. And I'm just saying that if that society extends throughout the country, which it should, then the investigation that preceded the Mueller probe would know damn good and well not to contact and acknowledge me in any way. They could do so in secret through third-party people. Hi, Emily. But, I don't remember exactly what I said, but it was sort of a warning and a set of rules given for when I returned to people who it would be fair of me to assume it all been killed by now. But I would think there would be enough mystic orders and truth seekers, etc., confused that would have contacted me by now, all things considered, proof and whatnot, if that order did not exist, which made it its purpose to ensure that I was not contacted. That is so my fate can play out the way it's supposed to play out, no matter how much it irritates me. But unfortunately, I should sort of undo that, considering how this fate is going to play out irregardless. It would be as though they sought me and did me all those favors. Only it's costing a lot of people very dearly, while the organization against me is waited out. But suffice to say, anyone who gets a wild hair up their ass to realize that they're not going to be judged for investing in my enterprises. And that it can lead to no illing of fate. All I gotta say is, there's some pretty good fucking investments. Like, my fish store projections were just such small time shit compared to what just got projected. Even without any of the patents, like the patents are going to get funded by the real estate venture. But this real estate plan that I have has us at 1.4 million by 2023. Minimal. That's my minimal. That's after reinvestment. That's after cost. That's after the facility's built. We're up by 1.4. And then it really gets interesting. Because that's when the patents actually start to get produced. And like I said, I can't even give you hints about the different patents because a lot of them are too easy and simple. Like, you could just go to like an inventor submission corporation and probably make a good fucking pretty penny. But you see, I want to bring jobs to Louisiana. Because Louisiana got a whole lot of people and very little work. And our only economy, we have two economies in this state: oil and tourism. Nobody really gives a fuck about Louisiana anymore. Nobody's really visiting here anymore. This is not a tourist destination anymore. New Orleans stopped being interesting in the 90s. Okay? And that's not because the 90s ended. That's because a bunch of assholes took over New Orleans and didn't know how to solve problems in a way that was conducive towards keeping the actual character of the city alive. They just wanted to get rid of all the damn homeless people. They wanted to, quote, clean up the city's image, you know? But one thing you could count on if you go to the French Quarter was street performers. It ain't New Orleans without the homeless people. Because you take away the homeless people and you take away 2/3 of the street performers. In some cases, you're talking about people who do not want to live in a house. Some of them have really cool vans. And some of them are licensed. Some of them are unlicensed. But you know, there should be a license. Like, you know, there's so many different ways that shit could have been done, but people just do things in the most dickish way possible. They're too worried about being easy and getting something done to the effect that you think you want. Not realizing that if you take a minute and pray about things, chances are God would lead you to a better way. You take a minute and pray about this. What do you do about unlicensed performing artists? You know what they did? They started fucking ticketing and then arresting them. You know what they should have done? Oh, what's your name? Fill out the fucking application for them. Here. Next time I see you, I want this to have been submitted. You know, protect and serve, not bully and harass. Let me just say this. If cops would take it upon themselves to enforce honor among cops and would consider themselves as the knights of the people, as they once were, there wouldn't be anybody disrespecting police officers. And you'd have a whole lot less of the general civil mistrust that we experience in this country these days. Like, for instance, if you're a racist asshole white cop, the best thing that you could do to address your concerns is be nice to black people. I know, I know, it's just stupid, isn't it? But actually, it makes a whole lot more fucking sense than the insanity you keep repeating and expecting a different result. You see, rebellion comes out of a lack of respect for authority. In my case, it was for my lack of experientiality. Let me just make up that word right quick to describe that. Because it's not as though I have no experience. I had trillions of years of wisdom, but I hadn't actually experienced that experience. So now, take into effect the rebellion that causes people to commit crime and to not trust the system, and rightly so, to not think that the system is ever going to give them anything back. When you see people in authority, police officers acting like assholes, Donald fucking Trump. When kids grow up, black, white, Mexican, well, it doesn't even matter. When they grow up seeing that, and it comes to the choice of right and wrong, do this or don't do this, what the fuck is the point to them? How do you really expect them to achieve a higher morality when that's the example you're setting for them? I mean, I lived through some ghetto shit myself, but I had a really advanced level of awareness and wisdom and teaching and perspective that none of those other kids had. You couldn't expect them to fucking do any better than they were. Who taught them better? Who showed them better? Not just some random fucking person telling them a couple times while 8 out of 10 influences say something different, show something different. So, if black people annoy you, if you don't like how much crime is in the black community, if you don't like how they don't speak properly or whatever, set a fucking example. The whole idea of being European was to set the example of how people should live. If you're not setting the example, you're not European anymore. You're just another fucking mongrel race, complaining about other mongrel races. Have some dignity. Realize that when you go back and connect yourself to God, you connect yourself to all other peoples of the earth, no matter what they look like, no matter how different from you. And that you cannot connect yourself to God without connecting yourself to them. Deny that heritage, deny that past, deny that history, and you deny each other. And ultimately, you deny yourselves. And good, you can sit there and say how superior you are while you act like a bunch of fucking idiots. Meanwhile, basically the Chinese are going to fucking take over everything that the Muslims don't. And we're just going to be a bunch of angry white people in a cold corner, okay? You know what? I figured it out. I am the Bill Cosby of white people. Pull up your pants, son. Only I never. I never put anything in any woman's drink. I always sexually harassed women right out in public. I, 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 I introduced myself to a girl I went out with for 3, 4 months and was friends with for like 10 years by grabbing her ass. And not just grabbing her ass. Okay? Now, this is Rocky Horror Picture Show. This is damn near like a little communal version of the 60s. Okay? This is Rocky Horror Picture Show. Okay? So that full disclaimer there. I wouldn't have done this in any other social environment. But she was giving me fuck me eyes as I was walking around this little crowd, okay? And she was wearing this tight little plastic fucking skirt, like hallucinogenic fucking print kind of thing. Little tiny ass skirt. And I had a jug of wine, and I was walking around this crowd of friends, letting everybody say hello to me. And every time I got opposite of her, she was giving me the fuck me eyes. So I kneeled right behind her, just plopped down like a stock clerk on my knees, the way I do to make people with weak knees cringe. And I lifted her up by her ass cheeks. And that's when my friend said, "Yeah, this is Sean." I had a little bit of a reputation. I don't know if I mentioned that. I was director of the Friday night cast when I was 17. And then on to Saturday nights, right as the theater was closing, because the older people decided they were too good for it. Howdy, howdy. But yeah. She was one of, well, I don't know if I should tell that story. She was one of the girls with 5 other, never mind. On a twin bed, oh, never mind. How we slept there the whole night, I don't, oh yeah, lots of alcohol. There's really no sex like underage drunk sex, you know. At least that's pretty much the common opinion in New Orleans. Joey, I didn't see Joey comment. How's it going, Joey? Hope you're doing better on the hours this week. Oh, I wonder if he's driving the fucking. There's this car that's been giving him trouble up at the shop because it won't register a damn uh, trouble code, and it's got basically a random misfire that doesn't occur until it really heats up. And the only time I've ever seen something like that is when it's a bad ECU. Unless it's got a separate ignition module, which these have coil packs, and I'm pretty sure the actual ignition modulation takes place inside the ECU, as opposed to with like the cars that I work on a rotating distributor and sort of a voltage regulator that acts as sort of an ignition module, priming the actual burst that goes through the distributor every time it makes contact. Whereas a modern car has that little coil that makes the electronic burst on each of the cylinders. What they call coil on plug. Anyways, so because it's a modern car, I'm thinking it's the fucking computer. Because if it was an injector, the computer would store a damn code. And he's already swapped the coils. That's like the first thing you try, you know? Oh, what you got, Conway? I love solving misfire problems. Like electronic and fuel troubleshooting is my thing. Like, if I can just get people to turn wrenches for me, I'll do that every time. One time I saved somebody $1,300 because I heard the problem. That made me feel like I had arrived, you know? Like, I'm that old guy. I'm that old guy. Look at me. I'm that fucking old guy who can save you $1,300 because I heard the problem. It was a fucking tensioner pulley. They were trying to give this lady a valve job. All right, first, year, make, and model. On the computer. Suzuki Viatra 1.6. Is that around a 2011, 2012 car? Is that the reasonably priced car? I know a little about Suzuki motorcycles. 2004. There you go. All right, so have you put up an OBD2 reader to it and gotten the codes off of it? That's, you know, anything after 96, that's the first thing you want to do. Well, 96 on a Honda, 98 on most everything else. Oh, okay. 4x4 small Suzuki Jeep. So like an updated Samurai. That's cool. SummitRacing.com gets you an OBD2 reader probably for 30 bucks shipped. And I don't know if Jegs or Summit, whichever has the distribution center out there, probably isn't one far. But of course, I don't know what in the UK they would typically use for that. But there's always fucking eBay. Now, what'll happen is you wind up with more or less one of two scenarios. First of all, is your engine light flashing when you start your car up? If so, and especially if it stays on, then it's probably storing a code and trying to tell you. Damn it. Oh, now I'm reading Joey's thinking it's Sean's. I'm like, wait. They told you to put new spark plugs in it? Spark plugs? Really? So did the lunch break setting it to idle thing work, Joey? He was having trouble getting it to heat up enough to where it would actually throw the code again, so they could actually get it to fucking snapshot, so they could send it to the tech line at Honda. Beautiful. Anyway. So, simple OBD2 reader will get you to the point where basically you're going to get it to throw a code or not throw a code. Sometimes it's going to store a code, like for a misfire, it'll sometimes store a code and it won't light up the dash. Now, in a car of that vintage, you're going to be experiencing the same kind of problems that I'm having in my car, just about. Because the motors are both based off of motorcycle technology. Suzuki builds engines very similar to a Honda non-VTEC motor, basically. And I doubt your 4x4 is much different than most Suzukis. So what you're looking at is a time period where your injectors are starting to get worn, the electronics, coils, that kind of thing may be going out, but something that could be causing a whole lot of gremlins that your average internet started mechanic, as opposed to like a shop guy mechanic doesn't know, would know. Your internet started mechanic, like I started in working on cars by researching shit on the internet and fixing my own fucking car. I would have never thought these kind of problems could come from an old catalytic converter. So, one thing worth doing, misfire, 15-year-old car, I would recommend replacing the cat, at the very least refreshing it, and if you want to be really lazy about it, seafoam the fuck out of your whole fuel system. Okay? And putting that seafoam into the vacuum line after your carbon deposits in the engine get cleared up, and just keep on and just keep on doing that. What's happening is when that jogs, it's going against the catalytic converter, and it's clogging and releasing and clogging and releasing, and that seafoam can get you a little extra life out of a clogged catalytic converter. Now it's not gonna make it suddenly pass emissions, but it can keep that misfire from happening, and it can tell you if it's your catalytic converter that's the problem, if running a whole lot of see-through foam through there clears up the problem. Now, you could have a clogged injector. So then again, seafoam can be some assistance with that. But the first place to look, other than a maintenance issue that's due to be addressed, like your cat, is those engine trouble codes. You know, um, like P104 through 6 or some shit like that. Is it 105? I don't know. Joey probably knows this shit by the top of his head. It's been years since I looked him up. Um, Gonna be a random misfire and then a misfire on cylinder, whatever it is, and then it's going to give you a code for a sensor. It might give you a code for O2 sensor. That could be the O2 sensor or the cat going bad. Um, if you have any exhaust leaks, if you look on the header right before the cat, if you see signs of excessive heat and corrosion right there, that's a good sign that the cat's gone bad. Only stalls when it's too hot, bad cat. That's called hydrolock. That's something that I never learned about on the internet. I had to have some fucking old guy tell me, you know. And that's what my CRV does, big time. Oh shit, it's a pain in the ass, dude. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure even what happens with that hydrolock shit. I'd really like to know more about it. I'm not fully understanding how the heat causes the cat to clog up. Whether or not it actually like causes the combs themselves to swell up or something as the catalyst goes bad. You know, like the individual things, like when they swell up, do they close up? Otherwise, you would think heat expanding, it would all get bigger as a body and there would be more pass through, you know. Yeah. But the symptom is when that cat gets old, once the car's been driven, heated up, it'll tend to stall, and it'll be otherwise very just seemingly finicky and sensitive and prone to misfires, and you'd have times where the throttle response like is right there and then sometimes it just isn't there for no fucking reason, and you'll feel like, did I get some dirty gas? Is there just like random fucking little shards of grass or something being pumped through my fuel injectors and one gets stuck, and that's kind of what it feels like when you're hitting the gas? But it's the catalytic converter. And I tell you what, on a little four banger, the way they come from the factory, get yourself a nice, go get yourself a MagnaFlow, wide flow fucking cat. Take it to a muffler shop, have them cut the old piece off. If they can't do that, buy a straight pipe off of eBay. Okay, have them cut that. Okay, get you a round file. You know, like all I have here is a knife, but like get like a file with like a round side, nice little wide one, and then go in there where the welds are on the inside right here and right here. Okay, especially on this side of it, where the flow is, where it all collects and then goes into the exhaust. You take that and you grind them fucking flanges down on the inside, and it might take you a couple days. Okay, make sure when you blow it out from the other side that you've been filing. Okay, so you're not blowing the metal shards into the fucking catalyst. When I did it, I stuffed a wet paper towel, just like a slightly damp paper towel down in there, and made it go flat against the whole catalyst. Okay, and that kept the shards from getting all up in there. And you see, your factory catalytic converter has about yay much passage, and then these MagnaFlows, they expand to about yay big, but they still have the same good amount of catalyst. You can even get them over spec'd and be doing really good as far as emissions goes. Like for instance, in California, they simply use a bigger catalytic converter on my car, and I use the local catalytic converter, like length, but I have a wider one, so I'm actually using more catalyst, higher flow, and then I have the California rear pipe, so I have a spacer that I can just unbolt if I want to go to the racetrack, so I can leave my street exhaust hanging and have just fucking header and cat going. Well, get under there and get a good look at it. Okay, you'll probably know by looking at it, yeah, I need a fucking new one of those. And do it right, and that fucking thing is gonna run so much better. I mean, just so much better. I can't even describe to you the joys of having like a properly done exhaust system. Factory exhausts are, generally speaking, designed to save money and fuel. Okay? They're designed to give a large amount of response from a small amount of gasoline. Okay? But while opening them up too much can limit that response, by keeping in mind the principles of back pressure and still finding the points at which things get backed up within the system and relieving those, you get better overall performance without sacrificing very much gas mileage. And I don't feel like I've sacrificed any low-end torque or throttle response on my Accord. Certainly didn't feel that way about my Integra, and I had a similar approach to its exhaust. But it had a DC Sports setup already on there, as opposed to the Accord. I pieced it together and modified everything myself when it came in. Because if I can save some money on Dyno Max, Summit Racing, little off-brand factor replacement stuff, but get the right stuff from the right combination of cars to make my shit go faster, I will gladly avoid having one of those eBay fart can mufflers on there. That's for sure. And that's, to me, all the fucking fart can mufflers are just eBay fart can mufflers, man. I put the Accord EX2 tailpipe exhaust on there, filed out the flanges. I've got my California rear pipe. I've got eBay headers that I port polished the engine. You want to talk about some clean matings? High flow out of those exhaust ports, and then into a catalytic converter, and into a little bit bigger of a rear pipe, and then into a slightly better flowing muffler. The same kind of muffler that would have came factory with the H22, basically. That's the beauty about swapping an H22 into an Accord. It is the best swap. Like, if anybody's wondering what's the best swap, don't chase Integras. Okay? Get yourself a fucking Honda Accord and an H22. Because there's plenty of old Honda Accord 4-cylinders that nobody wants because they're 4-cylinders. But those very same motor mounts can put down, what, 60 more horsepower, still with a 4-cylinder, still sipping gas, a hell of a lot more revs, a lot lighter too. The H series motor is an extremely lightweight motor, especially for a 2.2 liter. It's got basically a carbon fiber composite cylinder wall. Sorry. Apparently I get a little too excited when thinking about H22s. Anyways. What you got, Joey? Yeah, don't be shy about warranty time, man. Pay for it. I mean, don't let me get you in trouble or anything. But try to get what you earned on that one. You know, even if you had to ask your dad from a former lifetime for advice. Anyways, that's kind of hilarious. Still comes to me for advice when he can't fix something. Do they ever leave the nest? What's it been, 1,500 years? Jeez. Hashtag Merlin joke. Okay, anyways. So, if you can get a Prelude and your kids are out of the house, or you're infertile or don't want kids or whatever, or if it's going to be a while till you have kids, or if you're going to buy a bigger car when the kids are, you know, like 3 or whatever, get a Prelude if you can find one. If you can find one. Good luck fucking finding one. But whatever you do, if you get a Prelude without a VTEC motor, in fact, whatever Prelude you get, I'm just emphasizing, if you get one without a VTEC motor, don't swap it. I repeat, do not fuck with anything original on a Honda Prelude, because those will be the $40,000 muscle cars of the future. Okay? Oh yeah. Grab you one if you can. They've been going up lately. They did dip down as far as $3,500. Now they're getting around the $4,200, $4,500 range again. Integras dipped as low as about $4,000, $3,800. They're now in the mid fives. Those are going to be the next and probably the final actual automotive classics when it all comes down to it. You go too far into the 2000s, or really even too late into the 90s, and everything becomes just a safety box. It's like a tissue box with a set of wheels on it. And some companies made some pretty ones, but the only company that was making good safety boxes was making some relatively ugly ones. That was Honda. Mercedes, BMW, Mercedes were good. BMWs were shit around this generation. My dad has one right now. I've dealt with several at my old dealership. They have the gremlins. Oh boy, don't feed them fucking things after midnight. But he's gone through a bunch of shit on it already. His needs a new catalytic converter. And that's why he didn't come and visit for Christmas or anything yet. And he's probably not going to make it for my birthday in 2 days. In 2 days? Oh, God. I do not want to be this old. Not saying how old I'm going to be, but I don't want to be this old. Okay. Yeah, it always boggled my mind how people can get a straight 6 BMW gasoline engine to perform perfectly on the track for 24 hours at a time. But you can't get them to just last a few fucking years. And sure, a lot of it was to do with the resale market, people driving them without doing any fucking maintenance, and then dishonest salespeople sort of just passing the buck along. But if you knew the number of fuel recalls and other little shit, just evidence at the time, if you were in the industry, you could see that they were just doing their business sloppily and focusing on features. And how many different ways could you make a fucking switch control a screen, and how many different fucking corners could you shove an airbag into? That's basically all they cared about. But they look good. They look good. Now, the Mercedes of that early 2000 generation were so much better than the late 90s one. That's where it flips. The Mercedes of the 90s, they're kind of eh. They're going to be collectible, but they're still kind of eh. The Mercedes of the 80s look basically the same, and they're so much more older and have so much more character, you know. But then in the early mid 2000s, Mercedes was making some good shit. I drove a few of them. Good cars. But what people have realized about Honda and why they're going to be the hot item as far as like being like the future Pontiacs, you know, the future Mustangs, those little hot hatches that weren't hatches that Honda made. They were like luxury front-wheel drive coupes. Not the Civics. Nobody's ever going to give a shit about Civics. But the Preludes and the Integras, man. And eventually, the older Accords. Why the Accords instead of the Civics? Because they were built so much higher. 1.5 liter motor, 2.2 liter motor. Everything on the Accord is bigger. And might I recommend that just everybody should get yourself an older Accord. Because in the mid-90s, the Honda Accord was actually more Lego-like on the factory side. Civics were more popular, had a higher aftermarket, okay? But you could take your Honda Accord and put Acura NSX brakes and calipers on it. You take, and here's how you do it. I'll tell you exactly how to do it. You do what's called a rotor over hub conversion. You take the knuckles from a 2001 to 2003 Acura CL 4-cylinder, okay? And that's the same exact lug pattern, but it has, unlike the older Accords, the rotor on the outside, okay? The older Accords have this weird thing where they have the hub bolt in on top of the rotor, so they got them funky looking rotors with the little pattern on the inside, and you bolt them in like that. Fuck all that bullshit. If you want to actually race your old Honda Accord, you have to do what's called a rotor over hub conversion, or you're an idiot. And once you've done that, you can get 95 Acura GS rotors and calipers. You can get 2001 to 2003 Acura 3.2 CL Type S rotors and calipers. The Type S one, little red Type S, remember that one? And basically you can run the size brakes of the wagon, which are then the same size calipers as the NSX or the newer Accord V6 models or the big Acuras. So, Lego is shit, man. Now, advice for tuning: if you have one that isn't factory, if you have one that is factory, try to leave it factory. But if you're going to change out parts, you can go from the rear sway bar models on the older ones to a newer EX model rear sway bar and have a much better steadiness lean in the back, and that'll give you a better oversteer feeling. I don't know how the restoration market is going to react to polyurethane bushings, but I think they're going to react better to that than lowering springs. And what I find is that the best daily driven Honda Accord has no lowering springs, just beefed up sway bars and energy suspension bushings. Okay, and then you get a sport shock, so that little bit of tighter travel, is compensated for properly in the travel of the shock absorber. It's not going to be lower, but it's gonna want to be tighter, and having that tighter shock absorber takes advantage of it. You know, it's not like it's necessary for anything. It's not going to hurt anything to be on a factory spec shock, but like something like a KYB GR2, that's just got a little bit tire of a bound rebound on it will do quite well in a setup like that and just feel really fucking nice. And again, my car in particular, I can just fucking floor it down a gravel road with all kinds of potholes. And it just don't care. It don't give two slivers of an onion rolled shit. Okay. Yeah. Anyway. Just take time. So now if you want to have fun and actually go to the track, your Accord is not the car you want to get. If you want to do that, you want to get yourself a B16. Okay. And now you take the B16 bodies and you put a K series in there because B16s are getting old. But, you know, the little Del Sol, the CRX, the Civic, hatchback, EP3, K9, those kind of cars. And just that lightweight carries you through the corners at a higher speed, and the momentum allows you to pick up at a higher RPM and get going again with the same basic horsepower curve. But the you know, there's nothing a front wheel drive car can do as far as torque goes to make up for that. Then you're just talking about eating up the tires. There's no compensating for that happy median that the small cars have found with the high revs and the low displacement. But that's just around a track. Now, drag racing, my Accord is gonna fucking eat Civics and Integras. They just don't. There's no replacement for displacement in a straight line. Similarly, you know, a decently tuned V6 is gonna eat my Accord. Your V8 pickup truck will not. No matter how big your fucking tailpipes are, no matter how loud and stupid it sounds, no matter how much black smoke you got pouring out the back, your V8 pickup truck will not beat my Honda Accord. I've taken trucks like that up to 130. They get real frustrated too because they're used to Civics. They're used to regular Accords. Nobody really knows what to do with a one tailpipe Accord with a fucking H22 in it. That is an ego-shattering machine right there. Because it's got the torque to keep up with them off the line. And they ain't getting a fucking length ahead of you. And then you just start sailing by them. And then it's just that big motor that can climb to large speeds versus the lack of aerodynamics of the stupid pickup truck. Versus your car actually being aerodynamic and just pure Honda engineering. That's what's so satisfying about it too. It's like It's a four-cylinder still. It shouldn't be able to have any power above 100 miles an hour. Four cylinders, generally speaking, just don't do well past like 115, 111, in that range. Even if they're aerodynamic, just the air pushing up against them in the front bogs down that engine. But with VTEC. I don't know what the programming is, but there may be something when you pass a certain mile an hour, the VTEC doesn't disengage or something. Mine sure as hell didn't seem to want to disengage. Um, but you're talking about running between 125 and 150 is about 5,200 to 6,500 RPMs. And those Type R, SIR, SI transmissions are geared to go 163 miles an hour. So as you approach the top of that last gear, you finally get into the power band. So when you think it should be quitting, it just keeps fucking going. And in just factory condition, with a little bit of opening of the exhaust, a little bit of opening on the air cleaner side. Um, ram air is my preference. That's what I know works, so that's all that I can really vouch for. But that shit will just go until it smacks the rev limiter or blows up. You know what? Let's see. I was doing, I think, 6,800 RPM in my Integra. Integra's got to rev a lot higher than H22 to get to the same speed. But it's got a red line that's like 1,500 RPMs higher. So, yeah. The H22, I think, is 7,600 or 7,200. Fuck, I can't even remember. But the B16 in manual is like 8,400. Later, Joey. So I was racing this Mustang on the Texas-Louisiana border. And it was one of the convertible GTs from like 98, 99. I was in my 93 Integra with the B16. And we both just had it floored, just going neck and neck. I think we were both just kind of having fun, not really trying to race each other, but just seeing what we could do and seeing what each other could do, you know, that kind of thing. Couple of fucking old cars, you know. And I wound up letting off at 144 miles an hour at 6,800 RPM. The red line on that car was 8,200 because it was an automatic. The reason I let off at 144 miles an hour is because that is what the rating on my tires said. They were HS speed rated. Goodyear Eagle GTHRs. Good tires. But that's something very important to keep in mind. Now, first of all, don't street race. That's stupid and illegal, and I shouldn't have done it, and I only did it because I was young and dumb. But doing racing where it belongs on the track, you want to make sure, even if you're going out there on street tires, find the speed rating of your tire and make sure you never come near it, because that's when your tire is going to be heating up and getting high away. If you get close to that speed and stay there, they could just fucking fly apart on you. Anyways, I think my Accord might be pretty good car for rally driving. I think maybe it's just I enjoy it too much. I don't know if it'd actually be any good, but it sure as hell feels good on the dirt. Got those massive front tires on there. If I put some fucking chunky SUV tires on there, I bet you it could handle its own. But I don't know if I want to. I don't want to abuse the old girl, you know. Be much better off just getting a little shit box and doing that. Well, they used to run front wheel drive, and there's probably still a front wheel drive class. It just doesn't get publicized much. But there's always been the little um, more localized sort of rallycross type racing that you'll find front wheel drive cars on. Some even rear wheel drive cars. Like people will take their fucking MX-5s out there and shit. It's funny. But that's all they did. They just take the front wheel drive's car and put them together against each other. The two wheel drives do one race, and the four wheel drives do another race. Um, I've even seen front wheel drive SUVs out there, like little Rav4. Fuck, that wasn't even around here. That was a channel I found. Well, there you go. Those got to be front wheel drive. But I'm talking like rally cross too, like That's what I'd like to do. I'd like to, even if I had to buy my own land and make the fucking track myself. I think that'd be the shit. Make a rally, a mud basically, dirt and gravel endurance race. Oh my god! And it's got to be here, doesn't it? The 24 hours of slaughter. Oh, oh, that's just the best race name ever. The 24 hours of slaughter. You got one? A racetrack? Oh, for BMX. Oh. Oh, I used to do that when I was a kid. Used to love that shit. I can still, to this day, get on a 20-inch and hop on the front wheel. Just nose that shit up with the front brakes. If the front brakes are good enough, okay. If the front brakes aren't good enough, then it's just going to look like a sad loss of balance. But yeah, I always found that to be just like the easiest trick in the world. So I can like look like a freestyle person for a couple of seconds. Stop hopping 180. It's kind of like the equivalent of not being very good at being a skater, but still able to do that thing where you pop the board up behind you and keep walking. Flip. I could ollie over shit. I could rail slide. I could grind. But when it came to all that weird shit with flipping the fucking board all this way and that, no. I I hurt myself a few times trying that shit. I'm like, fuck that. That hurts. But I'll still get on a board and kick flip it to this day. But I will probably not land it. I might partially land that shit and be like, oh, look, he once skated a long time ago. Back when I was fucking 9. When I skateboarded, it was before the boards looked the same on both ends and had little tiny fucking wheels. We had, well, my favorite wheel was a Powell Peralta G-Bone, which was this fucking big. And I had I had a Zorlak Metallica. That's a skateboard. And I had a H Street Colby Carter, I think. That was like my pride and joy. Oh, I love that skateboard. I waited so long to finally get a real H Street skateboard. I was like 9 years old when I got it. Maybe 10. No, it was 9. Because that was the skateboard that my sister went and got back from the fucking Kempwood posse. And that is one brave little white girl. Holy shit. Like I was not confronted directly by them. I sure as hell wasn't wanting to fight them. They were as legit of a gang as there was around there, and by like much older and bigger than me. Um, I didn't expect them to fight like this, for instance. That one fucking fight. I didn't consider myself somebody who needed their sister to fight their battles for them, you know. But she just, before I could even say anything, just charged out of the house. And she went down there and just started screaming at those boys until they gave her my fucking skateboard back. They could have just shot her. Like, this was the real gang. This wasn't one of the little groups of kids. This was older teenagers. Whew. And still to this day, she holds it over my head and like acts like she's tougher than me because she had to go get my skateboard back. That's great. She's 5'2". Tough as nails, but still, she's a little tiny thing. Remember the one that came up with the Sean Bond Boo Boo Sean Bond Boo Boo Bear Chicken Taco GI Joe Superman thing. And still calls me that sometimes to this day. She introduces me to her friends like, this is my little brother. Look at my little brother, my little baby brother. My little Sean Bond Boo Boo Bear. She's got like blue hair and tattoos and shit. Like, I'd hardly call my sister annoying. She's hilarious. She's awesome in every way, I think. Except for she does have a piece of my furniture that she won't give back, and that but that's almost become comical that we still fucking. What's even funnier about that is the only reason I really want it back is because I believe it's magical. Yeah, yeah. So the thing about this, it's a toy chest. It's a wooden 4 foot by maybe 18-inch tall, 2 feet deep, or wide, whatever you want to call it. Locking wooden box made of what was it? New Zealand cedar. And the wood was, priceless. And it is now spray painted black. Huh. And, well, you used to be able to open this thing and just smell the wood, you know? Just overwhelming aroma of this cedar. And I remember telling the story, but I'm having trouble remembering it itself, of Kira and I closing the lid on ourselves. And let the Muppet Baby shit begin, man. It was like a gateway. Like, I don't know if it just guaranteed that you would have some wild dreams together or something, but it seemed like that was one of two ways we left the house, which wound up being one of three ways total for me. One was the toy chest. One was the pantry with the green door. And the other one for me was the suitcase. And I might have possibly transfigured and actually not been there asleep is because the time that I tried to use my suitcase to find Kira again, to find Maggie, my parents were about to call the police because I had been missing for 6 hours and they had scoured the entire house and could not find me. And apparently I had been asleep in the suitcase the whole time. The suitcase had a lot of clothes in it. When I woke up, my foot was hanging out of it. And I realized that I could get busted for not having been here for a while because I could hear people looking for me. And I just kind of pulled my foot into it and just kind of pretended that's where I had been. And then I just listened to my Alvin and the Chipmunks record for like the rest of the summer. Until my first grade started in Houston. My second first grade, actually. Because in New Zealand, you start school younger, apparently. so I came here and I had to repeat and be with the kids my own age. Which, yeah, was, I guess, technically fine, because all they did in fucking in kindergarten, like, I went to kindergarten and first grade, and then I went to first grade again. Okay, went to kindergarten and first grade in New Zealand. But, like, there was no structure to kindergarten whatsoever. It was just fucking finger painting and, like, games and shit. Like, all I really remember is the finger painting. But then the first grade in New Zealand was actually really advanced, and I learned some shit that I didn't learn again until third grade in America, which is kind of wild to think about. I don't think they touched math, though. I think that's the difference. It was all focused on language. I suppose that's why I picked up the New Zealand accent pretty quick. Spent a lot of time practicing it in the classroom. I don't remember the name of the elementary school I went to. I mean, the kindergarten, excuse me. I think it was up in Christchurch. Might have been named for it, but it was in like in like some woods in between, like a little valley kind of. Very, very pretty, very secluded, kind of scenic place, right? But the elementary school that I started first grade in, I remember it very clearly. That was Miramar Christian Academy, and that's where, like, the All Blacks came and did a haka for us, and, like, the star guy or whatever, who was, like, also the cultural representative of the Maori people from the New Zealand team. Pretty famous guy. I'd have to look him up. But he came to our school and taught us the Tūtira Mai Nā Iwi, or Tūtira Mai is the name of the song, and, like, the little dance that goes with it and everything. It was cool. And they used to play rugby, like, in the field every day, but it wasn't like actual rugby. It was just like, for the younger kids, they just threw the ball and told them to beat the shit out of each other, basically. Like, literally, all we did was just the huddle part, where everybody just tries to fucking stomp at the ball and just tries to get the ball. And that's what we do for the whole fucking period. There was never actually any movement or anything like that. It was just that part. Just a bunch of fucking kids pushing on and kicking each other. And occasionally the ball, too. That was fascinating. Is that typical for, like, first grade rugby students? Like, they had the second and third grade were actually playing a little game on a field, and they had the fourth and fifth grade, I think, was playing on a little field, and they just had the first graders in a little corner just kicking the shit out of each other. And like I remember being told, like, you're supposed to go in there and kick the ball. Like, well, they're kicking me. The fuck? Yeah. It goes from huddling and just going like that to like everybody just kind of squeezing in towards it and just fucking throwing each other on it, and then everybody just kind of falls on top of each other. And that's when a huddle turns into a tackle, and that's all we learned. And then I would watch cartoons of like, like Goofy Sports or whatever, and like, all the people piling on him. Oh, look, it's rugby. That's all I thought rugby was just like, just okay. They just put a ball in the middle of a field, a bunch of guys just tackle it. The end. I don't know. I didn't know what the point was. I had to like learn about rugby in America later for what it really actually was. I was like, oh yeah, I used to play that, kind of. Mm. Yeah, I think it's technically we weren't allowed to play rugby, but they let us play with a rugby ball. Right. It was- oh, y'all played hurling? Did everybody keep their teeth? Holy shit. Oh yeah, and I just want to be clear to any Americans. Um, there's no pads or helmets or safety equipment of any kind in rugby. Just no. It's just Neanderthal terrorism. Just it's the most beautiful, brutal fucking sport there is. It kind of puts football to shame in a lot of ways. American football, actual football. Um, you see, football used to be played a lot more with your foot. They used to have the punts a lot more incorporated into the game, and the field goals and everything incorporated into the game. And over time, it became more tackle oriented. Okay, and then soccer became known as football in Europe. I don't know. Like I was taught the same way you were taught in school. Okay, but these are older sports than apparently people realize. Um, I mean, much older sports. But it's appropriately named football because it's football, and soccer actually meant something. It was derived off of a word that actually meant something, um, and it was something to do with the origin of the nets that were used. Oh fuck, I can't remember. But now it's backwards. Ever since I've been, yeah, yeah, rugby is. You have to get the hang of it first. So you have to know what you're watching. Um, But once you get to know the setup and the strength of the individual players and soccer in Gaelic, which is also similar to a word that's used for harvesting or fishing nets, um, to gather, to take with, kind of thing. To bunch up, to compile. Similar to a Spanish word, too. There we go, connecting Gaelic to Spanish. Oh, what's that? Sakar? Holy shit, look at the time. Wow. Huh. Harvest. To collect. To profit from. Perfect. What were the legal profits of pirates before they were forced to become pirates? Now, I think the descendants of the disciples of Christ should be able to ascertain this through simple logic. I'm trying to do it one handed. I can't actually fish one handed because, you got to hold your beer somehow. But, I'm kidding. I drank rum and coke. Um, Fishing. Look at a soccer net. It's a fucking box net. What a box net is? It's just a scoop. Um, Generally speaking, you'd have two of them. They would be on a cantilever contraption, and they'd just go right down on the fucking school of fish. You chum up the water or put some kind of food in there for the fish to make the whole school gather in one spot, and then just soccer. Or it's not suicide. Sochiar. Huh. Let me get out of a classroom and onto a boat. Soakier. Raise the net. And Petey just snapped at the fucking flame angel. Damn it, Petey. Hmm. Howdy, Miss Q. Or I should probably say, g'day, mate. Soaviro tarum pascade. Bring it down when you see the fish. Donde está el baño? just, it's a random thing. Nice one. Nice one, Conway. Had we came across that before on something else? I'm telling you, cars aren't a new thing. Like machining, not a new thing at all. It is a most ancient trade. It has been there since the beginning. Invented within the first lifetimes. But then that goes back to when the C was a K. The same as you go back from Akkadian to Akkadian. And it's KARS. Which is the first place there was a 24-hour rallycross. As silly as that is, I think it's true. It might actually be. But yeah, the only new thing about cars in this century is the mass production of them. Cars were at once a family not even like an heirloom. More than a sword, but not as much as a house. You know. And there was no interchangeable parts. There was no AutoZone. There was nobody else with a vehicle like your family's vehicle. But every bit of your entire family's craftsmanship was represented in that vehicle. And while we're sounding completely fucking silly and retarded, I'm just going to go ahead and say the most comparable analogy you'd find to it is the Speed Racer cartoons. What's with fucking Japanese anime getting it right? Not not necessarily chitty chitty bang bang. The methods of propulsion were pretty various. Um, combustion are steam power, um, compressed air augmented with electricity, manual pedaling with electricity. Um, I wonder if we could set up a direct fermentation system the way they used to. Just a matter of compressing decomposing matter within copper plates and anyways, haven't fucking thought of that. Don't want to sit there and try to pull it apart on a live stream because that's kind of confusing. Um, what's the other material? There's another metal that sort of ionizes the decomposition and turns it into basically a battery. And it converts the heat directly into electricity. And it's kind of like hooking up an electrode to a rotting potato, only it's it amplifies the process. Zinc. I was thinking it was zinc. Could be zinc plated nickel for the size of it, though. And it created a lot of heat because I can see whatever I'm looking at in the past had a heat sink on top of it that was sort of angled towards the back, so the air was designed to flow along it. Um, it wasn't a closed vehicle, but it had very rugged style saddle-like seating, like leather, studded leather. And it seated four. Plus a driver? It's so hard to even picture this configuration because it's so different. The driver sat in the middle and the people kind of sat like almost carriage style. Like let me put the fucking phone over here. Driver here, passenger, 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 view, wheel, 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 battery. I want to build this thing now. Like, I'm seeing this monstrosity. It's mostly made of wood. Um, Brass axles, steel shafts. What the fuck is on the tires? I have no idea. I can only guess natural solid rubber tires. On splinted wooden wheels. Um, so, like, basically a bunch of bows as spokes. And it's a great technology. Why the hell did that go out of use? Huh. Okay. I'm gonna like bring that back and patent it. Cause holy shit, I could do that a lot better than like like with not wood. This kind of integrates suspension into the wheel in a fucking brilliant way. And I am definitely gonna fucking draw this out and patent it. Sweet. I mean, that's like a 4,300-year-old technology. I'm gonna patent it. Probably hasn't been seen since the hunting. Okay. That's not the Dragon War? Okay, that's not the Dragon War. The hunting? Okay, what the fuck is that? Me. Oh, it's what we normally talk about. You gotta take a piss. Anyway. So, the first hunting would have been what, Nimrods? The gathering of, the anything about the old gods and trying to consolidate into his new idols. But this was later. This was a time of 34 to 37 families, nations. And it was said that we had at last surpassed the time of Enoch. Huh. Rudolph. Yep, the red-nosed reindeer. Hidden riddle. Am I gonna have to watch Speed Racer? Oh, jeez. I might have to, because what I'm talking about might be the whole start of the war. I mean, obviously somebody had to corrupt Nimrod, but there was a competitive piece for a while. I'm trying to remember what exactly broke it. But I'm thinking it was something revolving, like, games. Like massive international sporting event. Series of them. Annual. A lot like the way the Olympics is used today to play out the same sort of drama. Huh. Oh, good. Giddy odd. Alright. I've got to go. Because I just realized I haven't eaten anything for a very long time. And in order for me to get fed tonight, I told my wife I would have the kitchen clean. So, she wants to cook, so I'm going to do everything I can to facilitate this process. Yeah, exactly. The type of caught cheating scenario. Only it was like more direct and villainous. And it was like sort of a cringe moment where he was whining about the rules and how he didn't technically break any. But I'm trying not to just overlap any sort of cliche random thoughts. Was I racing? Was I mean, apparently, what I can remember, on just an interesting side note, um, from what I remember of how the competition was regulated, the race, the fucking ancient vehicular race, there were enough fine machine makers in the world, okay, like like several per every family on that level. Families being much bigger, of course, but still. That I get the distinct sense when I think about like why there were seats in my fucking race car. I get the distinct impression of it being a regulated class and there being a virtually unlimited um like there's no like this is what a car looks like, this is what a truck looks like. People just built shit. Like, and it was good, like flying shit, rolling shit, floating shit, shit that did all three, like nothing was really mass produced unless it was by a business for a business, like they'd build it themselves. But I'm just having this fucking amazing sight. Just wow. And that's not from any fucking Final Fantasy game I've played. Holy shit. I would like to play that Final Fantasy game. I just drooled a little bit. Hmm. Man. Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go. I gotta go. Um, take Final Fantasy 9, like all the weird airships and shit, and try to project like that as a fallen civilization from what I'm picturing. Okay? Because I have to draw this airship that apparently caught my eye for some time, and I stared at it with great admiration and respect at the time. And it is. Are those entire trees? Wow. Okay, it's a living airship, basically. I mean, I guess that's a good way to keep the wood from rotting, but wow. Anyways, and it doesn't look like that from far away. You have to get like really close to see. Oh, it's got leaves. They keep it well trimmed. And how long did it take to grow something like that? I have no idea. Like, did they find that? Or did they grow that? Where did they find that? How would they grow it? That's crazy. It's like a big like kind of like an aerodynamic walnut type shape, but simpler. Not as many lines through it or anything. Very very smooth in between the bracings, the giant fucking wooden bracings. Anyways, from wherever I was at the time, that was really far away on the other side of some mountains and shit, and still looked gigantic. Okay. That's just a cool thought. Anyways, so yeah, I mean, there were just like just freelance machines, largely built without destroying mountains, is the thing. Metal was used where metal was needed and nothing else could be used. You didn't use metal because it was cheaper or more effective or easier or something like that, quicker. Um, you hardly ever used it because it was stronger, because if you needed to do something stronger, you just invented a better way to do it, you know? But, anyways. Yeah, it's quite fun, isn't it? Especially when it comes to airships. Um, and it makes me actually sort of remember some of the more advanced technology we had back then, which I think is actually more advanced than the technology we have today. In that case, in that instance. I'm not going to say it, but Conway is already thinking it. We're going to work on that later, Mr. Conway. For now, let's go ahead and call this a broadcast. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for hanging out and chatting. And as always, restomp the groin. I mean, no, wait, wrong channel. Wrong person. I just felt like saying that, as everyone does from time to time. But, yeah, click the like button. Make sure you're subscribed. You know, as if there's any fucking new people here. Some shit like that. What a hilariously stupid thought. Y'all take it easy. Don't take it all. Peace.